Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking a trip back in time to witness the birth of a nation, the United States of America. It's a story packed with drama, big ideas, and a revolutionary spirit that changed the world. So, grab your virtual tricorn hat, and let's dive in. Our story begins not in a grand palace, but in a collection of 13 British colonies stretching along the Atlantic coast of North America. Life here was a mixed bag. For some, it was a land of opportunity, a fresh start away from the old world. For others, it was a struggle for survival. But one thing united them. They were building something new. These colonists, while British subjects, were developing their own unique identity. Thousands of miles away from the king and parliament, for a long time, things were relatively stable. Britain mostly left the colonies to manage their own affairs. This policy, known as salutary neglect, allowed the colonies to develop their own governments, economies, and a fierce sense of independence. But then things started to change. In the mid-1700s, Britain fought a costly war with France, known as the 7 Years' War or the French and Indian War. In America, Britain won, gaining vast new territories in North America. But victory came with a massive price tag. To pay off its war debts, the British government decided the American colonies should chip in. This seemed fair to them, as the war was fought in part to protect the colonists. So, they started passing a series of laws and taxes. You've probably heard of them: the Sugar Act, the Stamp Act, the Townshend Acts. Each one was designed to raise money from the colonies. But the colonists didn't see it that way. For them, it wasn't just about the money. It was about a fundamental principle: no taxation without representation. They argued that since they had no elected representatives in the British Parliament, Parliament had no right to tax them. It was a violation of their rights as Englishmen. Protests erupted. People boycotted British goods. Secret societies like the Sons of Liberty formed, and tensions escalated dramatically. The breaking point came in a series of events: the Boston Massacre in 1770, where British soldiers fired on a crowd of colonists, fueled the flames of resentment. Then came the Boston Tea Party in 1773, where colonists, disguised as Native Americans, dumped a massive shipment of British tea into the harbor to protest the Tea Act. Britain's response was swift and harsh. They passed the Intolerable Acts, closing Boston Harbor and stripping Massachusetts of its self-government. This was the last straw. The other colonies rallied to Massachusetts' side. In 1774, representatives from 12 of the 13 colonies met in Philadelphia for the First Continental Congress. They weren't calling for independence just yet, but they were united in their opposition to British policies. They sent a list of grievances to King George III, but the plea fell on deaf ears. By 1775, the situation had devolved into open conflict. The first shots were fired at Lexington and Concord. The shot heard round the world, kicking off the American Revolutionary War. Even then, many still hoped for a peaceful resolution. But as the fighting continued, the idea of independence gained more and more traction. A man named Thomas Paine published a powerful pamphlet called Common Sense, which made a simple, powerful argument for why America should be free. It was a massive bestseller and convinced countless people to embrace the cause. Finally, in the hot summer of 1776, the Second Continental Congress took a monumental step. A committee, which included Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and Benjamin Franklin, was tasked with drafting a formal declaration. Jefferson, the primary author, penned a document that would echo through history. On July 4, 1776, the Congress officially adopted the Declaration of Independence. It was more than just a declaration of war. It was a declaration of ideals, that all men are created equal, endowed with certain unalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It declared that governments derived their power from the consent of the governed. With these powerful words, the United States of America was born, not just as a new nation, but as a bold experiment in democracy. The war would rage on for 7 more years, but the foundation had been laid. And that's the whirlwind story of how the United States came to be. It's a complex and fascinating journey of ideas, conflict, and the relentless pursuit of freedom. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this trip through history, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. See you in the next video.